Good morning. And my name is Kimiaki Kawai from Soka International. Soka International, SGI, is a Buddhist faith-based organization headquartered in Tokyo. I'm going to speak about how people with faith and faith-based organization, FBOs, have been working in response to the Great East Japan earthquake on March 11, 2011. So this is the signboard put up in Ishinomaki City in Miyagi Prefecture amidst the devastation of the great earthquake. It was built by Kenichi Kurosawa, this gentleman, a Soka Gakkai member in Ishinomaki. He lost his home by the tsunami. It was completely destroyed. But he refused to succumb to the hopelessness and despair. He was determined to encourage the people around him. That is why he built this huge sign where his house once was. It reads, "Ganbaro Ishinomaki," let's keep going. This is in Japanese, but the meaning is let's keep going, Ishinomaki. The sign became a light of hope and courage for the local people. It also became a place where people from other regions to get together and deepen their commitment to support those affected by the disaster. Indeed, it became a symbol of the recovery of Ishinomaki. 6 months after the sign was built up, beautiful sunflowers started to bloom at the foot of the sign. The seeds had been brought by the tsunami. It's amazing. One of his friends named the sunflowers Dokonjo Himawari, which means gutsy sunflowers, as it shows. The seeds of these flowers have been shared with people around the world to convey the message of hope and determination from Ishinomaki City. This is Kimio Oishi. He's also a Soka Gakkai member and a tsunami survivor. He's 71 years old. This photo is the oldest one taken when he was in the shelter. The photo that captured important moments of his life were all washed away by the devastating tsunami. He lost everything in the disaster, but he stood firm. For many years, Mr. Ohashi has looked out for the people around him in his community. On the day of the disaster in March 2011, he helped his neighbors get to safety just before his town was engulfed by the tsunami. He narrowly escaped from being killed and was rescued by the helicopter the next day. After some time, he was given temporary housing. He was appointed as founding president of the Residents Association there. None of the residents knew each other, and there were so many difficulties and disputes. There were insufficient aid supplies, problems with noise, and complicated human relations among residents. These might affect their daily life greatly. But Mr. Ohashi worked hard to create a sense of solidarity in the community. He engaged in dialogue with each resident and strived to build a bridge of hope, trust among the residents. Last year, he moved into new public housing for the survivors of the disaster. Again, he was appointed as president of the Residents Association. He has been taking a lead, organizing various activities to enhance the resilience of the community. He has organized evacuation drills and a concert, as it shows, by the Soka Gakkai Shinano Men's Choir. Soka Gakkai International, SGI, is a Buddhist faith-based organization, FBO. Under the leadership of President Daisaku Ikeda, SGI promotes peace, culture, and education through Buddhist philosophy, which affirms dignity of life based on the Lotus Sutra in the Mahayana tradition. As an example of Mr. Kurosawa and Mr. Ohashi show, SGI members strive to express their faith in the way they live their lives. They care for others and take actions for happiness in the communities where they live. Such efforts help strengthen resilience in the context of disaster risk reduction, DRR. In this context, I would like to highlight two aspects of the relationship between faith and DRR. Firstly, people with faith and FBOs can contribute to DRR by utilizing their unique strengths and resources. In the wake of the Great Earthquake in 2011, Soka Gakkai community centers functioned as evacuation centers. Soka Gakkai headquarters, Soka Gakkai community centers are also equipped with emergency food and basic relief supplies in case of emergency. Amidst heightened anxiety during a time of disaster, people's expectation for support from FBOs tends to rise. Relief activities by FBO, therefore, can complement the relief operations of the public sector. Secondly, DRR activity conducted by FBOs is strengthened by the voluntary activities of their members. Shortly after the Great Earthquake in 2011, I visited areas that had been badly affected. Even though they were also victims of the disaster themselves, I noticed that local Soka Gakkai members took action to support others who were also suffering. It was really moving. I still vividly remember the words of local Soka Gakkai leader in Miyagi Prefecture. I quote, "Disaster victims are not weak people despite living every day in harsh conditions. I know that they have strength within themselves. They have the potential to engage in relief activities." There is a strong link between their action in an emergency and their daily endeavors for the benefit of others based on faith. Soka Gakkai, as an FBO, was able to take efficient and effective measures by utilizing the network of communication it has its own members. Our organ newspaper also carried very faith-based messages and the words of encouragement from overseas for those in the affected areas. They were welcomed as the message were filled with empathy and hope. SGI and ACTA Alliance co-organized the public forum on March 15th. At the forum, we discussed how FBOs can contribute to the implementation of the new framework in the respective communities. If FBOs are recognized as part of the DRR framework, they will be able to contribute more efficiently. The strengths and the resources of FBOs in disaster response will complement that of other stakeholders. In this context, it is a disappointment that the reference to the role of FBOs have been deleted from the final outcome document of the Sendai Conference. ACTA Alliance, SGI, and other 11 FBOs issued a joint statement on March 16th in this regard. I quote, "Local faith-based networks reach every corner of communities and nations. FBOs and local faith communities, LFCs, have material and social assets useful for DRR action and emergencies, including the physical structures that serve as evacuation centers and distribution sites for food and non-for-food items. FBOs and LFCs are almost always first responders in emergencies, but also among those in the first line in defense in preventing avoidable disasters. And FBOs and LFCs also contribute to resilience strengthening by utilizing their pre-existing local networks and infrastructure, especially at the local level. The zero draft of the new HFA 2 did refer to the role of FBOs. We are disappointed that this reference has been deleted from the draft of the new framework. This has left many FBOs and LFCs feeling excluded from an area of work that is very close to their hearts and to their calling of services to communities. As LFCs and FBOs, we live, work, and support communities across the globe and bear witness to how facing the most at-risk communities helps prevent and reduce risks, contribute to resilience, and inspire hope to rebuild better in a post-disaster context. We therefore call governments to recognize and affirm the aforementioned unique role of LFCs and FBOs, prioritize the engagement and collaboration with FBOs and LFCs in the implementation of the post-2015 framework on DRR, unquote. Thank you so much for your kind attention. Thank you.